Time to free Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu. Time to free Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho. This is coming from a report by Charles Okoh. Now, in 1 month, between May 29 and now, the nation has experienced less tension and strife than it had ever experienced at any given period of time within the 8-year rule of President Muhammadu Buhari. The reason for this, beyond the mere fact that there was a change of a government, was as a result of the very toxic, divisive, and biased approach to issues of governance by the Buhari government. There is no gainsaying that Buhari brought out the beast in lots of Nigerians, the resultant effect being that insecurity gained a national spread. In packaging the Buhari proposition to Nigerians, his promoters sold us a dummy of his being a repentant Democrat, and Nigerians bought into its hook, line, and sinker. 8 years later, 8 years later, now we are faced with the reality that this nation would have been better off if we had not taken the Buhari route. That means taking the Buhari route, his own pace, his own ideology, and his own, proposition. Therefore, it behoves President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to seek ways to diffuse the tension and acrimony that pervade the land. One thing for sure, and as we have conversed in the past, the fight against insecurity must be total and comprehensively, and also prosecuted without fear or favor. The discriminatory and selective manner of a previous government fought insecurity only ended up worsening the situation and took it to a scale of preference that threatened the very fabric that held us together as a nation. Oh my God, as a nation. To continue, two very good examples of how poorly Buhari fought insecurity was the way he handled the case of Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Adeyemo, aka Igboho. Granted that these non-state actors may have overreached themselves, the question to ask is, was there any basis for their agitations, and were they justified? The answer is an emphatic yes. Okay? Now, to continue with the yes, wherever inequality, injustice, and the lack of fairness exist, there must be agitations and clamors for equal rights, fairness, and justice. Under Buhari, Nigeria was divided along ethnic, religious, and tribal lines. His lack of fairness in dealing with Nigerians and bias in appointment and the distribution of patronages gave a fertile land for a groundswell of regional agitations and clamors for self-determination and secession. Then, in Buhari's approach to governance was not only anachronistic and archaic, but also unsuitable for a contemporary world where competence, ability, and knowledge reign supreme. His tendency to favor only his ethnic and religious group ensured that due diligence was lacking while making his appointment. Then, the result being that whereas he was supposed to be the executive president, he was not in charge. At least his wife told us so. When Nnamdi Kanu and his IPOB member and group started their agitations in the southeast, he never enjoyed the support of Igboho. But as the Buhari regime went on, Kanu gradually began to enjoy the support of a large spectrum of people, not just in the east, but across the country, because Buhari's bias was becoming very open for all to see by the day. After his arrest and prosecution, he was granted bail, yet the federal government still sent soldiers after him, which prompted him to flee the country. Yet some cynically accused him of jumping bail, who would have done otherwise. Faced with the same scenario, we would have escaped from those rampaging soldiers and remained? No. To give his assailant another opportunity to get him at him? No. Why would any rational mind accuse him of jumping bail? What better alternative was left for him to protect his life? That is the question. Keeping Kanu in detention or in determination or in detention in any way in the name of seeking legal solution to the problem cannot be the best option. After all, the same government that claims that his case is a matter of judicial process has failed severally to release detainees even after they had been set free by the courts. The federal government cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. You cannot pretend to believe in the court, whereas in the same vein you disregard judicial rulings that are not in your favor. Now, therefore, for President Tinubu to continue to ride on the favorable tide of a goodwill he enjoys, he will have to seek a political solution to the case of Kanu that will not only consolidate his gains, but will also help to discard all the avoidable distractions which Kanu's continued detention would be bringing to him. Like Kanu, Igboho's detention in the far-away Benin Republic at the behest of the Buhari's regime is simply nonsensical and cannot be justified. Sunday Igboho, like most Nigerians, was completely disappointed by the failure of the Buhari regime to arrest the almost daily killings taking place in the southwest. Sometime in January 2021. Now, owing to the obvious lack of will to fight or to check their incursion of some Fulani herdsmen who have been killing their hosts without restriction, Sunday Igboho had gone to Igboho in the Ibarapa North local government area of Oyo State to warn the Seriki Fulani Saliu Kadiri. Who he accused of being behind the atrocities committed in that area. A few days later, residents of Igboho said some armed Fulani herdsmen attacked 4 farmers on their way back home. The residents said 2 of the victims allegedly hacked by the herdsmen died. They said the attackers ripped the skull of one of the victims, identified as shown with machetes. Prominent indigents of the town had been killed by suspected herdsmen, while kidnapping had become almost a daily occurrence in that area. What is even more annoying and frustrating, that may have prompted these non-state actors to take up arms to defend themselves, was the obvious fact that the federal government, whose responsibility is to protect all and sundry, were often too quick to defend these killers while accusing those calling for their arrest of ethnic profiling. Now, rather than on the suspect, the federal government under Buhari ordered a Gestapo raid on Igboho's residents, snuffing life out of anything that breathes, including human and animals. So while Igboho and Kanu are in detention, not a single killer Fulani herdsman is being prosecuted, let alone in jail. What the federal government and their sympathizers fail to explain to Nigerians is what these Fulani herdsmen need AK-47 for, and who are those providing them with their weaponry. Last week, President General of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Dr. Emmanuel Nwanyanwu, appealed to the federal government to have Kanu released, saying his continuous detention is a deliberate attempt by some elements to destroy the economy of the southeast. Nwanyanwu, who spoke in Lagos during the first official tour of southwest states, told newsmen that insecurity in the southeast, which arose due to the incarceration of Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, would be suppressed if he set him free. Wow, I cannot but agree with Chief Nwanyanwu. The continued detention of Kanu and Igboho is completely unnecessary and senseless. The president should release them and continue to ride on the goodwill he currently enjoys. Doing that will help to relieve tension across the country, and if there is anything the Tinubu's government needs to do right, now is the time. Tension free, everything should be free, and there must be peace in the nation, especially given the recent but necessary policy decisions that are biting hard on the people, chief of which is the petrol subsidy withdrawal. Which is the petrol subsidy withdrawal. Nigeria, my country. Wow, this is so very, very interesting. So I didn't even check the time, but I believe from this narrative, we've learned 1 or 2 things, and we've seen that people are agitating and people are telling Buhari that what he did, it might be right in his own eyes, but Buhari is no longer the president. Now, Tinubu is the president. He just came in. Now, he should pardon justice with mercy, or rather, do the needful. This is why I'm going to draw the curtain. I would like you to share your views in the comment section. And I believe you're going to click on the notification bell to get more news. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.